Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin. On this week's episode of Concerts That Made Us, I'm chatting with Giuliana Amaral from BAND.Inc, one of the most exciting bands I've heard in a very long time. Giuliana is definitely going places in the rock industry. And before we get talking to Giuliana, we're going to take a listen to her song, Midnight Rider. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Giuliana, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've been looking forward to this one now. Your music is absolutely unreal. We opened the episode with Midnight Rider. It's been on repeat in my house for weeks. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the perfect amount of familiar but new. And it's just good old fashioned hard rock, you know? The
Oh my
minute you hear
goodness.
it, you love it. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Absolutely. Well, I'm just so glad that you enjoyed the song. Thank you so much. It's funny because I wrote this song. So the idea that I had with Midnight Rider was, there's a lot of modern rock. But rock has evolved over the years and it's become more like it's the rock has a lot of production now. There's a lot going on in the music, and I wanted to bring back that classic rock sound. Having just guitar tracks, bass, vocals, and drums. Like there's no synths, there's no like weird stuff going on in the background. It's just like three instruments and vocals. And I always wanted to do that. And it was a lot of fun to record. We recorded it before it's so funny. We recorded it the week of the pandemic when it
Oh,
started.
man.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. It's finally happening because that's all I wanted to do was release the music. And then like remember leaving the studio and we had all the dates planned and everything just hit a wall. It was gone. But I believe everything happens for a reason. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of great opportunities. And I thought, now's the time to release it. So we released it in February, and we're so glad to see the response that it's gotten. The lyrics of the song I actually wrote for my grandpa because he's a motorcycle guy.
Ah.
And, the line, you got trouble, you call when you need, it's kind of him, because when I'm in trouble, I know who to call. But yeah, it's the story behind Midnight Rider.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Thank
So
you.
I'd love to give the listeners a sense of your musical history. Can you remember your very first musical memory?
My first musical memory was when I was 5. It's with my grandpa actually. We have a theater locally, and a lot of national acts come, but not a lot of like musicians. Like usually it'll be theater. And I specifically remember my grandpa was really excited when he came home because BB King was gonna be here.
Oh,
And it was weird because like he's like this like national act and he's coming to our town. And my grandpa was like, "Oh my God, like ask my mom." She was like, "Can you let me take her? I want to show her this concert." And I was like 5 at the time. I didn't know what was going on. But looking back on it, I'm so thankful because that was my first experience to music. I remember being in a crowd with people. I remember like seeing how happy my grandpa was that he got to see that.
hmm.
And I specifically remember that it was him just sitting with his guitar. And, I was like, this is cool. I've never seen that before because I think at the time I was just used to either seeing the pop singers, doing a
Yeah.
bunch of dazzling performances or bands, and it was him playing guitar. And I really enjoyed it. And now looking back, I'm just so thankful that I got to see him live. So
Yeah.
that's really my first musical memory, I would say.
That's possibly one of the best musical memories I've heard now. And what an introduction to concerts as well. BB King,
Yeah, it
like
was
he's on everybody's bucket list.
for sure. And I'm so thankful I got to see him live in concert. It's definitely one of the best, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. At which point then, when you were younger, did you decide, right, I want to be a musician?
Um, it's always been, it's funny because in school, you get the yearbooks and everyone says, "Oh, I want to do this when I grow up." Everyone wanted to be like a doctor and, do all these jobs. And I never was connected to any of that. I always wanted to do something with the arts. And my mom, I remember she offered me piano lessons. And it's funny because I actually hated it. I didn't like it at all. I did not like it. But my mom, when she was like younger, she took piano lessons and she quit and she regretted it. I mean, till this day, she tells me she regrets. So she was like, I don't want you to feel like I felt. So I'm kind of thankful that she pushed me to do it, because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't know all the stuff that I know now. But I always wanted to do something with the arts. And I think when I found out that that people could go into music, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I remember every year writing in my yearbook, I want to be a musician. And everyone was like, like, okay, fine, be a musician. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
You think people around you, I feel like when kids and teenagers say, I want to be a musician, it's looked at as, oh yeah, this is a phase. They'll grow out of it and then they'll realize. Was that what you experienced?
Yeah, a lot of times. I was definitely that one kid that was always like, I was very open about it and I portrayed it. I made sure that, I want to be a musician. That's what I want to do. And I remember in school, like we'd have like essay writings. And like one time, I vividly remember this because it just stayed with me. We had to write an essay like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I think I was in middle school. And I wrote down everything, like I want to do this, I want to record. And they were like, who wants to share? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to share. And I just remember them being like, all right, that's how you think now. But it's like, no, I'm pretty solid about it. I gave up a lot of time for it. So it's definitely one of those things that people look at you like, oh, it's a phase. But, they see, when they get to the point that they see how much you work for it, then it's like, all right, you really do like music, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And in school then, was there a music scene with the other kids? Did you form bands in school?
It's funny. I went to Catholic school.
Right.
So, there was the jazz band. I was the bass player in the jazz band. And I was like the only girl in the guitar department. And it was funny because like they looked at it as a credit. And I was there, I was like, writing down all the music note for note and trying to do my part. And then they'd show up and like just kind of go on their phones. And I was like, no, guys, we got to, learn all this music. I was definitely like the music nerd. I remember during lunch, like I used to just hang out in the band room and just like look at all the instruments. But as far as a music scene, it's weird because I was always like, in the music scene around my area, I've always been like the youngest one to like love bands and playing in bands. I've always been like the youngest one in the band, but like people my age, like they appreciate music in the area, but there's not a lot of musicians my age. So it's always been very strange because, I'd always try to show like people like in my class, like rock bands, and they'd be like, all right, that's a cool thing. Like I'm just trying to introduce them to something and But as far as the music scene, I would say I was probably the only one that played an instrument and just would talk a lot about music.
Oh my God. And what kind of bands and music were you listening to during that time? Was it the classic rock era?
Definitely. I vividly remember trying to introduce my classmates to Led Zeppelin 3. Like that was just so funny because I was like nitpicking everything about the album. But like as far as bands, definitely number one Zeppelin, because to me, like they like define like that sound that I love, that heavy rock sound. To me, they're like the definition because they broke all the rules at the time. Like there was nothing like that in existence. Like it's funny because I would always be seen with headphones, so that's all I would do, be listening to music. So Zeppelin, Motorhead, you can just imagine like a girl in a Catholic school with Motorhead. It was definitely funny at the time. Motorhead, Queen, I love Queen. It's funny, even though I love hard rock, I do love different, like Amy Winehouse. She's an artist that I love listening to, still love listening to.
Mm.
Lady Gaga. I just love Lady Gaga. So I listen to that. Definitely, I love listening to all different kinds of genres. Rock is my favorite, but I
Yeah.
love all different types of genres. So there was always something new that I'd be listening to.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez, I could just imagine you back in school being the only one with headphones and into hard rock and trying to influence other people to like it. I imagine it was very funny times.
It was very funny. I remember going to school with a Led Zeppelin shirt, and I got sent home. It's so funny because it was like one of those days that you could show up without your uniform, and I remember going with a Zeppelin shirt. That wasn't a good idea, but hey, I tried.
It's kind of funny though, you know, there was a period a good few years ago where if you were into that music, you were the cool kid. But nowadays, if you're into that, you're kind of not so much an outcast, but you're fairly close to one, you know?
Exactly. It was funny because I would talk a lot to the teachers because they love that music, and they'd be like, oh, you know, what do you listen to? And I'm like giving them all like my old discography of music that I'm listening to. But I definitely agree. You're not an outcast, but you're close to one because it's not something that, you know, you see in high schools a lot of days. But yeah, it's something that I've always loved. I mean, till this day, if I'm not like playing out, if I'm running air, I still have my headphones, and that's my favorite pastime. It's just this music.
Yeah, I'd be very similar myself. One of my favorite things to do is get in the car and just turn it up as loud as it'll go and just drive. Like, you know. Yeah. So after school, then what steps did you take to make your dream a reality?
For sure. So all throughout high school, my dream was to go to Berklee College of Music, and you know, I worked really hard, you know, doing shows after school. I never went to any dances on Saturday and Friday nights. You'd see me playing at a venue. I didn't even go to prom. I was playing, you know, like I was just playing shows. And I remember just wanting to go to Berklee. That was all my focus was that, you know, I would do all my work. And I remember it was the summertime. I didn't tell anyone. I went and auditioned for Berklee. I just went by myself. And I just vividly remember coming home, and my mom was like, "What'd you do today? You know, you weren't home." I was like, I auditioned for Berklee. And she was like, "What? You didn't tell anyone?" Like, yeah, I saw they were doing it, so I just went. And she was like, "Well, all right, well, that's awesome. You know, it's gonna be fun." I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be fun." And it was like the end of the summer came, and Berklee has like this big celebration at the BPC. And I remember telling my mom, like, "Mom, let's go. Like, you know, I want any excuse I had just to go to campus. I wanted to go." And they did like this big show, you know, concert blowout. And it came to the end of the show. Someone came out and they were like, "All right, we want to, you know, award students who auditioned, you know, for scholarships and entries." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! I want to see who got in." And I'm Amaral, so I'm first. And all of a sudden, my name shows up, Giuliana Amaral.
Oh my God!
And it was dead silent, and I just remember my mom like, "Yeah!" And everyone was just celebrating, and she was like, "I wish I recorded." I'm like, "We didn't know. We didn't know." And it was like, oh my God. I just remember being so happy and just so thankful. And it was my mom and I, and we were just so excited. I was like, I did not even expect this. Wow. Well, that, you know, just knowing that I had gotten in with the scholarship, it was a dream come true.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to attend the school. I actually did take this semester off because my band and I, we've been very fortunate. We've got a lot of opportunities to travel and play. So I thought, you know, because I give a lot of my focus to school, and you know, I was like, if I'm going to be traveling, you know, because it's a lot of work, so I didn't want to be away and then come back and away and come back. So I was like, I'll just go back in September. Right now, I'll focus on this, and so yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
Brilliant. It's not too often you actually hear someone going down that route. You know, usually they form bands and they play with friends and, you know, maybe release a couple of songs, get discovered that way. But I really like the way you're doing it. You're actually not to say you're doing it the proper way, but almost by the book, you know, you're going to the music college, you're going to really, really study it and know your craft. You know, I really like that.
Thank you. I've always loved studying. I love learning, and music is just something that you'll never like. It's not like you'll never stop learning it. Like there's
Yeah.
always new things. There's always new technique. There's always something that you like. You think you've reached the point that you know it all, and then it's like, oh my God, there's something new.
Yeah.
And going to music school, you're able to know how to learn those things. You're able to learn how to identify certain things in music. It's definitely something that I've always liked to do. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like there are some people that just start bands, but I was like, I want to like, cause when it's not like school that you sit down, obviously it is, you sit down and learn, but you go in a room, you bring your instrument and there's like a band there and then they're like teaching you how to work with bands and stuff. So that was really why I was so drawn to school.
That does not seem like school at all. That just sounds like a good time, you know what I mean?
For sure. It definitely is a good time. You meet a lot of fun people.
Yeah, I bet. So your band.Inc, people might be surprised to hear that it's just you and you have hired musicians, don't you?
Yeah. So right now, it's always been that way. Right now I have, guitar player Victor. He's really awesome. He's been doing a lot of the shows, but for years, it's always been that way. And the explanation I give is that everyone's in like 10 different bands. Like you meet a musician and they're like, oh, I play this. And it's been tough because, my band does a lot of traveling. We're fully booked. That's like, I'm always playing out. Like this weekend, I was, I didn't even like, I had nothing planned because I have a lot of rehearsals. And then all of a sudden the gig showed up. I was like, sure, I'll go play. Because it's weird not playing on the weekends anymore or traveling. But it has been, it's like a hired gun situation. For years, it's been that way. This BAND.Inc is really my only band because I put a lot of focus on it, a lot of writing, a lot of traveling, a lot of playing out, a lot of, everything, just all of my time goes into it right now.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely starting to pay off anyway.
Thank you so much.
BAND.Inc, where does the name come from? Because it's a unique one. It kind of makes you stop and think when you hear it,
For sure. I remember I've had this band, I want to say 2018. I started it, and it started for fun. I wanted to start a band, but it started out of the blue. Like it was very unexpected. I was in high school. One of my close friends, she was a senior. She was graduating. And, this was one of the friends that I had that actually liked classic rock. And she was like, you know what? You can play an instrument. I'm going to graduate. My parents had thrown me a party and they offered me a DJ, but I don't want a DJ. Like I want a band, I want to have an experience. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, who are you going to, and she's like, oh, I want to have you. I was like, oh, okay. Very fun. And she was like, I know that you can find people to like get together and just do like a quick band. And I was like, all right, I can definitely do that. So I did like a little scavenger hunt. I found some of my friends that could play instruments. And I put together a set list, like one that, people knew, like songs to dance because of party. And we rehearsed and we did the show and that was it. And I was like, I did it. I put a band together. I led the thing. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that was it for like a week. And then a week passed. And, because people were recording and it was put on social media. And it kind of spread around locally. And I had some venues call me. And they were like, oh, so-and-so posted your video. You guys are a young band. I'd like to book you guys. And I was like, oh, my God, that's awesome. And I didn't think this far ahead. They were like, what's the name of the band? I'm like, BAND.Inc. And they were like, okay, that's cool. That's sure as it be. I was like, yeah, BAND.Inc. And they were like, all right, so we'll put you down on the bill. And I was like, okay, that was weird. Okay, I'll think of something fun. But then, we did all these shows and it stuck. I would get phone calls. This is BAND.Inc. I'm like, yes, this is band. This is official now, I guess. And for a while, I was like, oh my God, such a strange name. But now that I've grown with it, I look at it as a simple name. It's easy to spell. BAND.Inc has 2 syllables.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of grown to it. For a while, I was like, oh my God, it's kind of weird. But like I said, I grew with it. People spell it quickly. Like if I'm saying the name, people can be like, all right, that's what it is. I'll write it down and I'll remember it.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at it on the bright side. It's short. It's to the point. BAND.Inc. And I guess it kind of works because it's like a corporation. It's like a higher gun situation. So it kind of works out in the end.
Yeah. And they always say that the shorter the band name or the less syllables in it, the more memorable it is,
For sure. So I kind of look at it that way.
Yeah. So it must have felt pretty amazing though, playing your first gig and a week later getting all these calls. It seems like your story with regards to music just kind of took off.
For sure. I'm very fortunate. I've been able to play out and, play my music to everyone. 'Cause I know a lot of, it's tough, to start a band and everything, but I've been very fortunate. We've built a very loyal and loving following, and I'm so thankful for them. One thing that I love to do is I love to, because we travel a lot, I try to book like one local show, and I call it like the homecoming show because we come back for a while and then we go. And it's just such an amazing feeling to see so many people that have been coming to our shows for years. And every time it just gets more and more exciting because, I don't even know how to express it. I just have so much joy playing out and just seeing so many people. It really means a lot. I'm very blessed and fortunate, really.
And for any of the listeners that might not have got a chance to see you in concert yet, what can people expect at one of your concerts?
I definitely love to bring energy. I love to I'm a big audience. I love to connect with the audience. I love building a relationship with the audience. So if anyone hasn't seen us before, I love talking to the crowd. I love bringing, making them a part of the show. A lot of participation, communication, and just loud music. So that's like a combination of, I try to make it rock and roll. So.
Yeah. Very important parts there. But I love the audience participation. Nobody wants to go to a show and have it like you just turned on the record.
Exactly. I'm a very, I love live music, and I look at it my way. I think if I'm going to see this person play, I want to have a fun time. I want to dance. I want to clap. I want to sing. So some songs I look at it as an opportunity to be like, all right, I want to hear you guys, start singing with me, because I look at music as something of unity. Like we're there together. We're there as a group, we're there for fun. And I just think I look at music as something that brings everyone together. And it's definitely, I look at the shows as an opportunity to be, if you had a tough day, if you're going through something tough, you go to a show and it just puts you in a good mood, makes you happy. That's all I wish at a show, is to make people happy. That's all I ever wanted, was to see people smile and dance. And that really makes my night, So
yeah. That's what it's all about after all. And do you prefer smaller venues or larger venues?
Honestly, any venue will do for me. I just love playing. That's a good question, though. Definitely, I love seeing crowds. I look at it as a way of, if I'm able to play, if I'm able to get our music out there, we'll do the same show for 2 people that we'll do for, I don't know, 1,000 people. I just want to give our music to anyone who's listening. It's definitely, I will admit, it's definitely fun, those big venues, because there's a ton of voices that sing along with you. So it's definitely a surreal experience. But for me, any venue. I love Quest.
Good answer. Good answer. And I love to find out the concerts that made my guests. So I have a series of questions now about your concert history and experiences. Now, you have had the chance to tour with some amazing names from Alice Cooper to Buckcherry. So I'm sure we're going to have some interesting experiences pop up. Can you remember the best concert experience you've ever had?
Oh my goodness. That is a very good question. I have been to a lot of concerts, but okay, I know. This is because I looked at my bookshelf, and that's like my like, how do you call it? like list of people that I look up to and show.
Yes.
So when I want to say it's 2019, it was Christmas. My grandpa got me tickets to go see. It was Robert Plant.
Oh my God.
And I was freaking out because, this man is my hero.
Yeah.
Like I look up to him. And it was so strange because it was not something that I didn't know what to expect. Like it's obviously not Led Zeppelin. And it's not like, it's just weird because, you're seeing like a singer of a legendary band. I didn't know what to expect. So it was at the Orpheum in Boston. It was like packed. It was sold out. And I remember I was sitting on the left side and he came out and he did Led Zeppelin tunes. I was so amazed. Like he did like, I think most of the catalog.
Oh man.
And I was like, I just remember what caught my eye was even though he did Zeppelin tunes, he changed them, but like changed them to a way that I was just, I'm not going to lie. I think I cried for one of the songs. It was, That's the Way. Going back to Zeppelin 3, one of my favorite,
Yeah.
And he did it. And I was just like in awe. I remember the way that he engaging the audience. Like he was there. He was having a connection to the audience. And the band was just so uplifting and they were so tight. And there was like a connection between him and the band. Yeah. Like he wasn't like, I wasn't just seeing Robert Plant. I was seeing the whole band and they were just bringing this music to so much life. Like there was a lot of life happening with the music. And I was like, what's that? Like it's 2019. I was still in high school and I was just watching this, like, this is crazy. Like this is so amazing. So that was one of the concerts that I feel like inspired me to not only work with the audience, but work with the band, because even though the audience interaction is very important, your band, having a connection with them is very important as well. And,
exactly.
That concert I won't ever forget because like, I just remember, I remember, and I don't remember a lot of things vividly, but I remember that and he like, oh my God. I just remember going home and just telling my mom all about like everything that happened. But I did learn a lot from that concert, him just because he's an iconic vocalist, and people were like, I saw everyone with like the Zeppelin patches, the jackets. And I remember I went with like a Robert Plant shirt. I was just, oh my God, it was great. But I did learn a lot from that concert. That was probably one of my favorite concerts.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did any of it actually feel like a Led Zeppelin concert, or was there a clear separation between this is Robert Plant and that's Led Zeppelin?
For sure. I feel like some parts there were. Like some parts there definitely was. Because I was able to see like Robert Plant as an artist, like the man behind the music. Yeah. Because he was, I remember him like saying his explanation behind some of his music. And it was so cool because he was like, oh, I'm in Boston. It wasn't, I didn't play the Orpheum, but I played the Tea Party a bunch of years ago. And I was like, this is so cool because I read about this and I'm like in the same room as him. And he's just like telling us the story of how he wrote this song. And it was great. But there is definitely a separation between him, Robert Plant, the artist, and Led Zeppelin. Because I look at Led Zeppelin as like this power group, like they're the band. But he definitely is an artist and he has something to say outside of the band. And I have a lot of respect for that. It's definitely great to see his side of, his performance side by himself. It was definitely really cool.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. It's great that, these legendary singers, they're still around and they're still able to tour and play just as good.
For sure. And I'm so thankful to have seen them, because a lot of them don't tour anymore. And there are so many that I'd love to see, but unfortunately, they've either passed on or have retired. But I still have much respect for them.
Yeah. And not to get too negative now, but we'll flip it around. What is the worst experience at a concert or playing a concert you've ever had?
Oh my goodness. Trying to think. This is you're asking the wrong. I'm the most positive person. I try to always look at the positivities that I've seen or put. This is tough. This I did. Okay, this is funny because I love this band. Okay. But I actually left the concert early.
Right.
There's this band. Now I'm a rock and roll fan. I love rock. But throughout high school, there was a band that I looked up to. And I actually still look up to them, even though, because they just recently released an album that just completely changed my opinion of them. And I still love them. But when I was in high school, I don't know if you've ever heard the song Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood.
No, I don't think so.
They were very popular, and now they're making a comeback. But I looked at them because they're an alternative rock band. And that's another side of me that I don't bring out as often, but I have a great appreciation for them. Now, anytime I got to see them, I would go see them. But one year, I don't know what happened. It was weird. It was electronic. It wasn't like that band that I looked up to.
Yeah.
And man, I don't know. The guy had a microphone swinging from the ceiling. And he was just swinging around, and I vividly remember wanting to be in the front. I was with my mom, and the opening act, I have no idea who this was. I have no idea. And I wasn't, it wasn't my type of music, but I was sticking around because I was in the front row, it was one of those general admissions, and I wanted to stay there. And it was the last song, and the guy was like, all right, everybody, we're going to do a mosh pit. And I was like, oh my God, no way they're going to do that in here. This is too small. And my poor mother, she looked at me and she was bright-eyed. She was like, what is that? What's a mosh pit? I'm like, they're not going to do it. Don't worry about it. They're not going to do it. And the guy counts to 3. And oh my God, someone punched me in the lungs. I lost my breath. And they had 10 rings on. And my mother lost her shoes. And that was just the opening act, though. I thought it was gonna get better,
Oh my God!
And it was very chaotic, and it was I get it, mosh pits, it's not my thing, but I never experienced one. And oh my God, my mom was like, "Just go to the back," and I was like, "No, I want." She's like, "No, we're gonna go to the back." And I remember going to the back, and the band that I wanted, The Neighborhood, they came out, and the microphone came down. It was swinging, and it was just electronic. They weren't it wasn't that rock band experience that I remember seeing in the past.
Yeah.
And I love this singer. He's really cool. He's definitely unique. He did a stage dive, but it ended up bad. He went head first in the ground. He didn't come up for 15 minutes.
Jeez.
It was, and I honestly, I left. I was with my mom, and I was like, we'll head out. We'll head out, because it was just, at that point, it was just noise, electronic noise, which I have nothing against. I believe that, artists have freedom to do the sound that they want. But now they actually came out with a new album. I think it was 2 years ago. It was Chip Chrome. And that's one of my favorite albums. I'm not going to lie. They were able to do that sound that they were known for, in the early 2010s. So, it wasn't the worst, but it was the weirdest experience, because they did that quick switch to something that I wasn't used to. and I think a lot of people weren't used to. But
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the weirdest concert experiences. I learned from it, though. I learned not to do a head first stage dive, so that was definitely a learning experience. And not to do a mosh pit in a tight area.
Yeah. Very important rules to live by, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess it's like a negative and a positive. I don't know. Like they were able to come back with a really solid album that I love listening to. So
well, that's a bonus. Sounds like they quickly realized that their new sound wasn't going to work, so they reverted back to the old.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like one of those people who are like, I like their older stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that type of person, but they were able to circle around and get that sound back. So that was probably the weirdest concert experience I think I saw. So.
Yeah. And the next one then, what is the last gig that you've played?
Oh, that I've played personally? If it's with my band, I did we did our homecoming show. That's what we did. It was locally, and before that we had just come back we did a show at the Whisky A Go Go, which was a lot of fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We came back and we did our homecoming show. It was at a local venue, and it was just packed, like shoulder to shoulder, and I had, oh my God, it was so much fun. Really. It was a great time for sure.
Yeah. I have to ask, the whiskey. I'm absolutely obsessed with the whiskey. Living over here in Ireland, to me, it sounds like Mecca for rock music. What was it actually like playing there?
Oh my God. So the first time we played was in November, and it was, I don't even know how to because I look at it as the way like I'm stepping like where the Doors have stepped,
yes,
where like Motley Crue has stepped, and I don't get nervous for shows. I always tell everyone, nerves and excitement, they're the same feeling. It's just how you think of it, If you think I'm nervous, you're gonna be nervous. And I was nervous. I turned my excitement into nerves, and it was. We got invited. It was a Guns N' Roses tribute band, and they had heard of us, and we got invited to open. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's like where all of my heroes have played,"
Yeah.
And I remember we showed up so early, like for the sound check, get there, and you go in the green rooms, and we were able to bring a guest, and I remember bringing my mom and my grandpa, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, "Ma. Dude, like a lot of famous people were in this room at some point." And I was looking at the wall, like Linkin Park signed the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And just it never gets old seeing like all these signatures on the wall.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the time that you go to the stage and I get called downstairs, and you're looking out on the crowd. It's one of those stages where the lights are so bright that you don't see very well on the crowd.
Really?
That kind of helps because you're like, okay, I can't see them that well. So, but I'm stubborn. I like to see them. So, kind of block out the light so I can see them. But it's definitely, you get nervous because it's like, oh my God, like so many great people have played here, but I was like, we're going to give it our all. We're going to give that experience, bring that crowd, energy into it.
Yeah.
And we did it, and we went home, and I was so excited to get more shows. We were invited for more shows there, and I was like, oh my God, I get to go on the stage again. Like, that's so awesome. And it never gets like that feeling never goes away. Like you step on that stage, and it's like it's the Whisky A Go Go feeling. It's something that you never get used to, and it's great because not only do you have the Whisky A Go Go, like a few blocks up the street, you got the Rainbow, which is awesome. Yeah. I love hanging out at the Rainbow. Anytime I'm in LA, every night I have to go at the Rainbow. I just got to enjoy every moment that I have there. And I don't know, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just such a weird, like, feeling because, I'm from Boston. We just kind of hang around, just around our local area. But like to go to a place like that, like you see everyone, Like you just like see like these rock stars hanging out and everything, and it's again, you never get used to the feeling. It's just so much fun. It really is. It's like a
Yeah.
dream come true. Like like I mentioned in high school, like I would read about all these rock legends, and then you go to the Rainbow and you just see them eating a pizza. It's like, oh my God, like, whoa, this is so surreal.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, actually, is it like that in real life? There is this myth that you walk in there and there is rock stars there just going about their day, but
you
it really is.
Them. Yeah, they're just there. And I remember I was really fortunate. I got invited to a party there, and I got to jam out with a lot of cool people. And I remember it was time to leave. And there's 2 exits, like from the upstairs. There's like the front, and then there's like this back exit that kind of leads to the outside. And there's like a bar there. And I remember leaving with my friend, and we were walking downstairs, and I saw this man with a cowboy hat, and I was like waiting for him to turn around because I don't know, it just looked like I was like the hair in the back, and it was Luke from the Struts, and I was like, oh my God, I love that band. I really do love that band. And me and my friend were like, oh my God, like the Struts. But like, yeah, they're just hanging around, and it's really cool for sure.
Yeah.
And they're super nice, they're just hanging around, talking to people. And it was really cool because I like I mentioned, I was invited for a party, and I was, I played with Paris Jackson's bass player. Like he was really cool, got to play with a lot of the members from Great White, which was awesome. Like, it was really fun. I'm really thankful for that experience.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Jeez. You're still so young, and you've got these amazing experiences that I'd expect to be hearing from someone maybe 30, 40 years older,
I tell everyone I am just so thankful, and I'm very fortunate, and I feel very blessed because music has always been my life. It's really all my life revolves around. And it's really been my best companion, and I've been able to live out a lot of experiences and live my dreams per se through music, and to be able to live the way, like I love reading, and I would always read biographies, and reading about like all these musicians in LA, I'm like doing doing the same things, like playing the Whisky A Go 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 Rainbow. And I look at it and I look back on when I was, a teenager in high school, like if only like I would have known. I wonder what I would have done. I would have probably freaked out, because you look at it like, oh my God, like it's the Whisky A Go Go, it's at Los Angeles. And I actually, for years, I would ask my grandpa, like, can we go to California? And he's like, well, I'll take you one day, don't worry. And the first time I went to California, I got to play the Whisky A Go Go. So that was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. It was really so thankful, really.
It really doesn't get much better than that.
No, it does not. It really does not.
No. So what are your future plans? Is there new music on the way?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to announce at the end of this month, we're heading down to Nashville. We're recording our first EP.
Yes, I'm delighted to hear that.
Thank you so much. I am just so excited because we have so much new music, and I just want to get it out there. I myself am just so thankful to all the listeners. We actually just reached 15,000 streams on Midnight Rider.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who's listening. And I thank you so much. I'm just so thankful. So, I'm excited to announce that the EP is coming now. I want to say we don't have an estimate like on the dot date, but definitely expect it by the end of spring, early summer. So it'll definitely be out there for the summertime. It's going to be so exciting. I'm just so excited to get back in the studio.
I'd say so. Is there any major tours coming up on the horizon?
So we got a lot of fun dates. We're actually going back to California. We got some more shows at the Whiskey that I'm so excited about. You'll definitely see those on social media. We're actually going down to Florida. We got a string of dates down there. I've never been to Florida, so I'm excited. So if anyone from Florida is listening, you'll see us.
Brilliant.
So definitely, I have specific like dates on those that I post on social media. Going down to New York, we got a bunch of shows there. Poughkeepsie. We have a lot on the East Coast in June, New Hampshire, Mass. We got a lot of those. And yeah, it's definitely, it's going to be very busy.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you're going to have a great couple of months, though.
For sure. And, I'm just really looking forward to it. And it's definitely, it's a fun adventure.
And what, as a musician at this stage, what dreams do you have? What do you want to achieve?
For sure. So, my goal is, to jump on a tour bus and just go all over the United States. I myself love traveling. So, being able to travel and play, even though I travel so much already, I want to travel more. Because I feel like, I want to share, my music and the band to as many people, because songwriting for me is my favorite thing to do. I definitely want to write more, even though I actually have it right here, like this book full of music. I still want to have more with me. But definitely traveling more, hopefully doing a full-on tour, writing more music, and just, keep rocking out for sure.
Brilliant. Since you showed the book there, I have to ask, what's your process then for writing songs? Do you wait for inspiration, or do you go into a room and force yourself to write?
For sure. So it's definitely a fun process. I like to get it all out of the way once it's started. I like to start and finish, hopefully in a day. So I can walk you through actually one of the songs that is going to be. I'll give you a little sneak peek. We have a song. It's called Better Off Dead. So I remember writing it. So I was getting on a plane back to Massachusetts from California, 6 hours. And I had a loop in my head, and it was a riff, and it just stayed with me, just simple. And I thought, okay, that's good, that I can stop thinking about it now. And it wouldn't go away, for 6 hours, just kind of loop. And I grabbed my phone and I grabbed a voice memo, and I just kind of it's kind of silly to listen to now because it's all scattered. But I have voice recordings of the riff, singing it, melody. And then I got home and I was able to do a little rough thing on my computer. Sounds very patchy, but it was I was able to explain it to the band of how I wanted it to work. And then when I got that out of the way, so my lyric writing is actually through time. So I keep this book with me everywhere. I kind of use it as a journal, and I write about, if one day I'm feeling this way, I'm going to write everything about the day, or I'm just going to write about a thought that I had. Or if I don't have my book with me, I use my phone. And I'm driving somewhere. I'm not physically driving, but if I'm in the car, I'm not going to write. No, but if I'm in the car and I see something, I type it out, describe it, and, write a lot about how I feel. So when I have the music done, kind of look through that book, and, if the song seems kind of heavy and driven, I'll look at if I was feeling kind of down one day, I'll kind of pick on those lyrics and kind of work it into the song, use the phrasing to kind of fit the frame of the song. Yeah. But it really is a lot of my songs, you'll hear about people, Midnight Rider for my grandpa. He's a big part of my life. I wrote that about him. Better Off Dead. You'll hear about it. You'll hear it. It's very you'll hear all the lyrics and everything. But I write a lot about past experiences, people, my feelings. But just recently, I actually wrote a song with my guitar player, Victor. I won't spoil that one. That was on me. But it's, we wrote it we wrote the music. He wrote like all the musical stuff. I did all the lyrics and the melody and the background vocals. And it was actually really cool to collaborate with someone. I usually write all the songs, but it was a new learning process for me. I was able to collaborate with someone. So there's definitely so many ways to like write music. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, this is where it happens.
That's actually a really good process and a really interesting process. I feel like if there's anybody listening that's struggling or maybe wants to start writing songs, that's actually a perfect way to start doing it.
For sure. I always keep a journal on me. I remember like the first song I wrote, I was 13. And I still have the book. Every year I get a new book, and it's just, stacks. And I still look at those sometimes to kind of see. And the first song I wrote was Blue. And I remember I wrote it because I was feeling blue. I wrote it because I remember being in school and, it's like preteen, like, oh, I liked someone. He didn't like me back. I'm going to write a song about it. Yeah. And I looked at the lyrics and I was like, man, I was so sad, and for what? It's that's what music does. You write about something and you kind of reflect on it, and you're like, at least I got a song out of it.
Exactly.
Try to stay positive.
That's it. So we'll move on to the last couple of questions now. If there was a band from history you could see in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Queen.
Really?
I know this. Yeah, Queen. I love Freddie Mercury, and I just love Queen. I know for a fact that and specifically, if I would be specific, like Queen in the 70s. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen, I don't know if it was Christmas or New Year's Eve. They had a show, and it was in the UK, and that's like one of my favorite live albums. I think it was, I don't remember the name of it, and it sucks I don't remember it because I listened to it so much. I love Queen, also because not only for like the songwriting, I think Freddie Mercury was one of the greatest, even the whole band, greatest songwriters. But as a live band, oh my God, like I see videos of it. And that was actually how I discovered Queen. I remember going to my grandpa's office, and there's this man with a yellow jacket singing in Wembley, getting the crowd to sing with him. And I vividly remember like asking my grandpa, like, who is this man? Like, who is he? And he's like, that's the best front man of all time. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Oh my, and he like told me everything about them. And I remember going on like a deep dive of everything, just learning everything about them. And that if I could see anyone in history, it would be Queen. I know that.
I don't blame you. But I was actually expecting you to say Led Zeppelin.
I know. And I think it's because I already like saw Robert Plant. I was like, okay, I was able to see like a part of Led Zeppelin, I guess, technically. But I don't know. Which is funny. I have seen Queen. I have like seen them live. But I think it's like, being able to see a legend like Freddie Mercury, that would be something that I would have loved to have been a part of.
I don't blame you. The next one, if you could spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician or artist from history, who would you pick?
Now I'm stumped. That's a good one. Just there I go looking at the bookshelf, see who I can think of. It's tough. Since I'm going to bring back Led Zeppelin. I'm going to bring back Zeppelin. As a because I'm a bass player also, I'm going to say Jimmy Page, because he's one of those musicians that is just like so smart. Like he's like a musical genius. As like, a musician, I would love to get to know his process of how he wrote some of the most iconic musical pieces of all time. I would definitely love to learn from him and just get to how are you? Sort of like, this is an honor, sort of thing. I would have to pick him maybe, because I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. He's kind of one of them really cool ones that you could pick. But, you could it could go both ways. You could either spend the 24 hours learning stuff from him, or you'd be perfectly happy just letting him tell you stories of the old days.
Exactly, because he, like, watching interviews with him, like, he talks about everything and anything, and I never lose interest in it because he just knows how to, like, have a conversation and just speak of so much stuff. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, he could be talking about anything, and I'd be like, wow, man, you know.
Yeah, I totally get you. And the next one, if there was a song that could appear on the soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. It's funny because I think about this, like, because I love so much music. Like, what's one song that this is weird. Now you got me thinking. You know what? If you want an accurate answer, sometimes I like to look through what I listened to recently. So let me see. You know, let me see. What do I have here that I listened to? I am going to go with, and I'm just going to pick this because I've been listening to it often. You got me stumped, man. This is tough. You know what? I'm going to go with, just because I see Motley Crue in the background, Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. I feel like that's an appropriate theme.
Okay. And it ties in with the homecoming gigs that you play.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Perfect. We figured it out. I don't know. Like, because I love Motley Crue, and I guess it's combining, like, that hard rock and also that melodic kind of music, you know, soft music I love listening to. And I don't know, I guess home is where the heart is, and, you know, always coming home.
Yeah, exactly. When you're not doing music, what do you like to do to relax?
I love spending time with my family. I know that sounds kind of like we hear it often, but I travel a lot, and I do a lot of music, and I love just, you know, hanging out with my mom and my grandparents. And I have a little dog. His name's Lemmy. He's a little Pomeranian, and I love that dog very much. So sometimes I like taking him out for walks and, you know, just getting him all rock and roll outfits and stuff like that. But definitely spending time with my family and my little dude hanging out.
So after music, of course, is the most important thing you can do. That's what it's all about.
It really is. And, you know, I tell everyone I do what I do is because of my family. They've always been, you know, they always told me, even when we mentioned, you know, being a musician is being a phase, they never said that. They always said, if you want to do it, go for it. You know, we'll have your back, because if it makes you happy, it makes us happy. So that, to me, I love them very much. So anytime I get to spend with them is a happy time.
Brilliant. And the final one, is there something I should have asked you that I didn't?
Not sure. I'm horrible at asking questions. I don't know. I guess you did. I don't know. I think you got all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, you did awesome. I love talking with you. This was fun. So I think I got all the questions.
Brilliant. Job done. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much. It's awesome to be on your show, and, you know, it's a lot of fun to talk to you.
Do you love music? Music news and guest interviews with artists from all around the world across many different genres? My name's Nolan, and I love music. In fact, I love music so much I created a podcast entirely dedicated to it called Every Podcast I Love Is Dead. Every week is a brand new episode where I interview musicians, artists, podcasters, radio hosts, and so much more. New episodes are available every Thursday on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms, and you can check us out on social media and at everypodcastiloveisdead.com. Hope you can join me.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I, for one, surely did. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. Your 5-star review will be read out on the show. And don't forget, you can now rate us on Spotify. You can find and follow us on all social media at Concerts That Made Us Podcast. And don't forget to check out the website at www.concertsthatmadeus.com. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by signing up at patreon.com/Concerts That Made Us. So, until next time, keep rocking. Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.